Hey guys, in this video we're going to go through how to use the goal-seek function in Excel. To help us do that, I've got a problem set up for us to work. So, suppose the population of Gotham is growing according to the model P of t equals 8.3 times 1.017 to the t power, where P is the population in millions and t is the time in years since 2014. So we've got two parts. A, determine the population of Gotham in 2020, and B, determine when the population of Gotham will reach 14 million. So A part is a fairly straightforward problem. They're giving us a year and asking us to use the model to find the population. So let's make sure we understand how this model works. This is a formula that takes a t value, which stands for how many years since the year 2014, and uses that as an input to determine your population number, which is your output. So let's take, for A part, our year 2020 and type it in here. Then to use the formula, we can't input the year 2020. We have to input the t value that would be associated with that. So since our time is measured since the year 2014, to find our t value, we take that year of 2020 and we subtract off the year 2014. So as you could probably do in your head, that makes our t value 6. So now that we have t, we can use that formula with Excel to determine the population. So to type in the formula, we hit equals 8.3, and remember with Excel you have to show times, 1.017 to the power. Now when you get to t, this is your input value. You don't type a t, you don't type a number. What you need to do is click on a cell reference. So for us, that's this cell reference number 6 right here. And then we can hit enter, and Excel works it out for us pretty much instantly. So we now know that the population in millions in the year 2020 was about 9.18 million. So like I said, A part is a fairly straightforward problem. B part, however, is a little more difficult because for B part, they don't give us the input. They're giving us an output value that we're trying to reach, and we have to determine an input number that works. So since we already have our formula typed in once, there's no reason we need to go back and type it again. We can take this formula and copy it over and use this spot to work out part B. Now notice it's using this cell reference directly above it, H13, and right now that's blank, so Excel is treating it as a 0, so it's working the formula with an input of 0 currently. But we're trying to figure out a t value that would get us to a population of 14 million. Now I could guess maybe 10 years in the future. That didn't get us big enough. Maybe 20 years in the future. Still not large enough. What if I guess 30 years in the future? Now that's pretty close to the 14 million that we're aiming for, but it's not exact. We could play this guessing game for a long time and still never get really close. And instead of playing this guessing game, that's what Excel can do for us. When we're trying to find an input value that will give us a specific output, that is what goal-seek is for. So, first thing we want to know is when to use goal-seek. We are going to use goal-seek whenever we are trying to find an input value instead of just figuring out an output value. So basically any problem exactly like part B. Now, the next thing we need to know is how do we find goal-seek in our Excel program. So to get to goal-seek, first thing we need to do is go to the Data tab. So up here, choose Data. Then you have this button somewhere in your Data tab that says What If Analysis. If you click on that, you should see the option for goal-seek. So we're going to choose goal-seek. Whenever you choose goal-seek, it will always pop up this little window that has 3 important things that you have to fill in. So the first one is set cell. This is always going to be your formula cell. So for us, that is this one right here, that H14 where I typed in my formula. to value is always the output value you're trying to reach. Again, for us, we're trying to reach 14 million, so I'm going to type in 14. By changing cell, the last thing we have to fill in is this is what cell should Excel be changing to try to reach that output. And just like when I was playing the guessing game and I was typing in the number right here, that is my input cell, and that is always what you need to use as your changing cell. And once you give it that data, you can hit OK, and it will work it fairly quickly for you. You can hit OK, and my answer didn't come up to be exactly 14, but it's pretty close. That's a lot of 0.99999s there, so that's good enough for our purposes. Now, to repeat, your set cell is always going to be the cell with the formula. The to value is the desired output value that you want to get. And you're changing the cell, which is the input cell. So this is how you do GoalSeek, and you should probably practice it a little bit and make sure you're good with it on your own. I hope this helped. Thanks for watching. Bye.